Eddie Trujillo, one of the founders of UBREAKIFIX, one of the biggest cell phone repair company in the world. Thanks for being on the show. We're excited to hear what you can bring to the table.
Yeah, let's get into it. So I was looking for computer repair businesses. I'm doing that. A friend of mine, Justin, calls me and says, I have the iPhone. I broke it. You think you can fix it? And I was like, I don't know. Let me see. Let me look on YouTube. There was like one video on YouTube at the time, and it was like, this is how you take it apart. I said, yeah, I think I can fix it. Order the parts, and then I'll come over and I'll fix it for you. He's like, all right, cool. He orders the parts, calls me, hey, they're here. I'm like, okay, I'll be there tomorrow. He gets impatient looking at the parts on his table and tries to do it himself and destroys the phone.
Makes it worse.
Yeah, phone's destroyed. You know, a couple months went by, he goes on a cruise. I need to pick up something that he had of mine. It was at his house. So he's like, just go to my house and go get it. So I go to his house and there's a couple boxes and with different addresses on them and phones inside. And there's this one guy working in his house, like one of his friends, like with a screwdriver, opening phones and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, you know, it's just Justin started this eBay business fixing phones and people are mailing us phones. I go, wow, someone mailed their phone from California to get it fixed by you on eBay. And he's like, yeah, it's crazy. Screen repairs, whatever. I'm like, how many phones you get in a day? He's like, two a day. So I start messing around with it. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So Justin gets back from the cruise and I say, hey, this is a cool business. Way cooler than what I was thinking of doing. I'm like, but I think it needs a store. Like, people don't want to wait. And he's like, maybe, yeah. He's like, I don't know, eBay business is pretty good. You know, I'm making decent money. I'm in college and things are okay. And I said, let's open a store that fixes phones, iPhones, and I'll put up all the money. And if it fails, you guys keep the internet business and I'll walk away. So we opened in August of 2009 and I opened my Google Maps account and I made sure that I wrote iPhone in every single box that they had on the thing. So it was UBREAKIFIX, iPhone repair. I would put in our title. As soon as I hit submit, I do a refresh on Google and we're number one. The first month we had people driving from Jacksonville, from Tampa, from Miami, hours calling me, hey, I'll be there in 3 hours. I need to get my phone fixed today.
Just because there's nowhere doing that.
Nobody would do it. And that's when I was like, this is going to be something big because people are driving this far. Imagine if they had one next to them. How many customers are we losing because, you know, I'm not going to drive 3 hours to get my phone fixed.
Right.
So we decided, you know, we're going to open more of these. And at that time, I was like, man, I think we can have like 5 or 6 of these things. And then from there, we just continued to open. And the first 47 stores we opened with friends mostly. So we call up friends that were in a career and we're like, hey, we have this idea that we've been doing and we have a few stores and it works. Quit your job. We'll give you a percentage. We'll put up the money and you just tell us what city you've always wanted to move to.
Dude.
And they would tell us Chicago, Los Angeles, New York. And we shipped them off. They're all from South Florida. And they'd move. And we'd open these stores and they would kill it and then they would continue opening stores. And then from there, you know, we just kind of kept blowing it up. We kept doing franchising. So UBREAKIFIX allowed us to venture out into other things as well. We always felt like the name would allow us to get into other types of industries outside of just phones, because phones are great, you know, but there's a lot of industries that need the same kind of stuff.
Sure. How do you define success?
I think it's, you know, for everybody it's different, but, you know, for me personally, it's going in with an idea and implementing and actually making that idea a reality.
What's a commonly held belief in being successful that you talk to people and, you know, you hear but you disagree with?
Anything that goes against my core principles. So if they feel like they made a bunch of money, they're a success. I don't necessarily believe that, because there's a lot of ways to make money that aren't necessarily right. There's a lot of ways to make money without actually doing anything. You can get lucky. You know, you can buy a lotto ticket.
Sure.
And now you're a millionaire. For me, that's what the differentiator is. Like, someone who puts in the work and somebody who gets lucky is two different things.
Was there anything that you tried in the beginning, or practice or approach you tried that didn't work, but in turn actually taught you how to do something right?
If you have success in one market, you can't replicate that in another completely different kind of market.
Right.
That's not necessarily true. That's going to happen. Because when we decided to expand UBREAKIFIX, I kind of took the role of real estate. And I really dove into demographics for every store after the first one. You know, what is the income of the people who live there? How many people drive by this place every day? What is the average age? These are all things that we looked at, and obviously we fine-tuned over the years, but that was something I learned early on. It was a mistake not looking at that stuff and then realizing, you know, how important it was. And to save money, I piggybacked off of other people's real research. I would find out where the Verizons, the AT&Ts were, and I would go right next to them.
Was there a specific point in your life where you were like, I've done it?
When people were driving hours to get a phone fix, I was
Right.
like, we've done it. You know, this
And you
is
didn't even
it.
have a lot then. That
No,
was like in the
we had
very
one
beginning.
store, but it was like, you know, it was really successful right away, and that made me feel like I've done it. And then, you know, when we had 12 stores, I was like, oh, we've done it. But then, you know, when the bank calls you a teenage girl looking for a car loan, then you're like, I haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings you down. So I think throughout the years, there was a lot of up and downs like that. You know, there was times when we had 150 stores and we thought we'd done it. Apple, till we had 600 stores, didn't take us seriously.
If someone was in a similar retail or business wanting to grow, what would you tell them to stop doing?
Don't grow to grow. So there's a lot of retail companies or businesses out there. I need to have more locations. That's not necessarily true. And capture data as much as possible too. And we did that at UBREAKIFIX for a long time, and that helped us grow too, because then you can easily, with tons of free software out there, map the zip codes and see where your customers are coming from. For us, at least, we found out was within a 3 to 5 mile radius of our stores. So that allowed us to grow smart.
Through the ups and downs that we talked about, did you ever consider quitting and just go work for somebody and getting rid of all that headache?
No.
No.
Once I left Circuit City, I never considered working for someone ever again. You have people at the top that don't necessarily know what's going on at the bottom.
Right.
And they literally see me, Eddie Trujillo, as a number, an employee number down there. Oh, employee number 281765 is selling pretty good. Cool. That's it. 20 years people were working there, killing it for them, and they told them, kick rocks. We want to make more profit. That's how, unfortunately, most businesses are run like that. It's all about the bottom line. And so for me to ever think I can go back to that, knowing that, I couldn't.
How did you guys, you have 600 stores. How did you prevent being at the top and knowing still what was going?
You know, it
not
was tough, but like even for executives, like you needed to spend 2 days a month in a store. You need to be on the ground understanding what's going on.
Smart.
You can't implement things without understanding what they're going through at the bottom, because ideas may seem great up in your high perch.
Right.
And you looked and you had the CFO do an analysis and he tells you it's going to be great. But until you run that past someone who's actually got to implement that, you don't know it. But we had people that would stick with us because they saw a vision, you know, for themselves. And then they also felt like they were a part of something. We weren't just throwing things down on the bottom of them. We were going down there and saying, hey, we have this idea. What do you think?
Was there ever a single ultimate goal that you set for yourself?
I think I was like 10 years old, and a teacher made us write down, you know, where we wanted to be at in the future. And there was no like parameters set. It was just like write down some numbers, you know, an age, and then where you want to be at that age. I wrote, I want to retire by 35 at 10 years old. I kept trying to get to that, you know, and I always pushed for that. And actually we actually sold the company when I was 35.
In growing your company from one store to 600 plus, was there a single most challenge that you always fought in that expansion, that growth?
When times were good, a lot of franchisees got super comfortable and lax. And that forced us to really hone in on those individuals and help them tighten up their finances and stuff like that to where they can actually make money even during the bad time.
Was there ever one thing that stood out to you, or like the craziest scenario you found yourself in or dealing with?
I open my phone in the morning and I have a LinkedIn message. And it's, hi, I'm Prem from Google. Yeah, we want to work with you. And I was like, Okay, it might be fake, but I'll follow up. Okay, what is it you want to do? We need you to be in San Francisco on Wednesday. This was on like Monday to present. They said they're making a phone and they want to know why we should be the ones to fix it. So this was exciting for us. So we spent the next 2 days like just putting together this like great presentation why they should work with us. And then we're like, crap, what do we wear? So we Googled what to wear to go visit Google. And it was like casual, whatever. So like, okay, cool. So we fly to Google, and we ended up wearing, by the way, jeans, UBREAKIFIX polo, and then like hoodies. And it's two guys. It's this guy Prem and this guy Steven, his boss. And they're sitting at one side, and we're like, we introduce ourselves, we go through it, we put the deck up on the screen, and we start going through the deck. And I'm going through the deck, and we put a lot of time in this deck. And they're both on their phones looking down. Oh, okay. And they're like on their phones. 15 minutes in, Steven, Prem's boss, like, I'm sorry, I got another meeting I got to run to. Thanks for you guys coming in. Appreciate it. He leaves. Prem stays back, asks us like 2 questions. I'm sorry, our time is up. We got to go. I'll see you later. Leaves. Thanks for coming. And we're like, we just flew 5 hours, spent 15 grand, and we got 15 minutes of their time, and they wouldn't even pay attention, it felt like. On the flight home, get an email from Prem saying, we really liked what you guys brought to the table. We want to work with you. Let's think about next steps. I still don't know to this day if they were actually paying attention, they're putting up front, or they're multitask like that. I don't know. But I don't know
Maybe
what it was.
Maybe they recorded it and they went back and they reviewed it. I mean,
I don't know. Every time we went back to Google, which we went 4 times a year, the COO of Google, she would be like, oh, the hoodie boys are here.
Oh, so they remembered.
Yeah. And they're like, we've never had somebody come in the first meeting wearing hoodies. And Prem and the other guy, Steven, said, honestly, when we saw the hoodies, we thought it was such a bold move.
I was going to say, it worked.
And it worked, and they're like, it showed that we were working with somebody who's just like us. And it showed that you were authentic.
So if you didn't do what you did, what else would you have seen yourself potentially getting into?
I don't know.
There was never anything on the horizon?
My motto, believe it or not, and a lot of people don't agree with this, was do something that makes you money so that you can do something you love later. If I didn't have UBREAKIFIX, it would have been whatever else made me money.
Right.
That's all I cared about at that point. It wasn't about doing what I liked. I see people who chase their dreams early, what they really love to do,
they love, yeah.
And they never really get success, and they never make money. And they may love what they do, but eventually they end up hating that. Something you love being your job every day, it takes away from that love, you know?
Sure.
Having to wake up and having to do that, I don't care if you love drawing every day. If a millionaire comes in and says, I want 17 paintings for my new house, that love is gone there.
Right. If there was one piece of advice to be successful, what's one valuable piece of advice you'd give?
The people is the most important thing. The people in your business. So find the right people, keep them motivated, and you can grow, as big as you want. But it's always going to come down to your people. You can't do it by yourself. And the only way you can grow your business is to work on your business, not in your business. If you're out in the field every day hitting the hammer, you can never make your business bigger. So you need to be able to step back and trust people will do the job the same way you would with the same care as you would. But the only way to do that is to find the right people and keep them motivated.
What was it that you looked for in those people that you knew you needed?
The drive in the interview was what's important. So people who had drive, because you can't motivate someone who has no drive.
Right.
So if they come in the interview and you ask them, where do you want to be in 10 years? What are you looking to do in 5 years? And they say, I don't know, still haven't figured my life out yet. That's not somebody you want.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I started to realize that the younger generation that we were hiring was not motivated by money anymore. It wasn't a simple bonus structure that worked. I went to every store in Orlando that we had with a spreadsheet, and I sat down with each employee one-on-one try to figure out what motivates them personally, what they like, their likes, this and that. Individualizing these goals for everybody.
Right.
It wasn't a one size fits all anymore. And I think it's even worse today. But it's finding out what motivates that individual employee and building something or a goal or something for them. Like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Maybe it's a monetary form for you, but for them it's something else.
You've been at the bottom, you've made it to the top. What drives you now?
It's weird because no matter how much money you get, there's the fear that it'll all go away.
Yeah.
So I think that for me is still in the back of my head. I don't ever feel secure, even though I should. And everybody said, even financial advisors are like, you're fine. I don't ever feel that. And that's what keeps me I wake up every morning like I got to do something else because what if?
Glad to have you. Super informational, and honestly enjoyed it, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.